what do you believe are the most likely additional investment opportunities for BNSF?
As I mentioned in the annual report, in the case of all railroads, merely spending their depreciation expense will not keep them in the same place. So depreciation is an inadequate measure of the actual steady state capital expenditure needs of a railroad, even in these fairly non-inflationary ways. And that's an important consideration in buying the business. We knew that going in, and it's been reinforced since. We spent a lot of money in 2015 because we had a lot of problems to correct, and that was when we spent the $5.7 billion. I would say that the true maintenance capex, if you're looking at $4.3 billion, is higher than 60% of that number when you really evaluate keeping the railroad in competitive shape to do just the same volume as it would be doing the year before. So there is an additional expense at BNSF that is not reflected in the figures. We also have a lot of intangible expenses at some other businesses that aren't real expenses. I mean, overall, I think that Berkshire's figures actually are on the conservative side in relation to real economic earnings, but that's not true at any railroad. They've also had something called positive train control, which amounts to a lot of money for the industry. I think we may be a little further along than most of them in paying for that, but that's $200 or $300 million a year, and maybe, I don't know whether it'd be close to $2 billion or something like that in aggregate. So it is a very capital-intensive business. We run at the BNSF, we run far more gross and revenue ton miles than any other railroad in North America, and that has obviously is a factor on capital expenditures. But I would say that it's very likely that we will spend more than depreciation, unfortunately quite a bit more than depreciation, to stay in the same place for a long, long time, as will other railroads. And that's a negative in the picture. We will always be looking for ways to use capital expenditure money to develop additional business, and we get that opportunity regularly. It's just a question of the size of it. And we did a lot of that in the Bakken, and we reckon we got benefits from it. We're not getting benefits as much as we thought we would at this point when the price of oil has fallen off. But that was a very sensible capital expenditure, and I hope we get the opportunity to do more. What's happening in coal with the decline, I mean, that doesn't really have anything to do with our overall capital expenditure budget, except we won't be spending a whole lot of money to expand in that arena. Does that answer your question okay?
I was just thinking maybe with intermodal as well, if that's a longer term opportunity to invest more heavily there.
Well, we're always open to it, but we would want, you have to see a fair amount of revenue coming from. We had a proposition very recently, which we worked on for many, many years, in terms of making the port at Long Beach considerably more efficient, and we spent a lot of money on that and spent a lot of time, and we would have spent a lot more money, a whole lot more money, if it had been approved. And recently, the court came out with a decision that was negative on it, and whether that kills the chance to do that or we look someplace else, we'll have to look at the situation.
Our competitors there pretend to be environmentalists. It's a common practice now.
Yeah, in any event, we thought we had something that made a lot of sense for both the area and for the transportation system of the country, but there are a lot.
We're trying to do the right thing, and so far we've lost.
But we're still willing to spend a lot of money
Yeah,
if we can find things that make the railroad more efficient or make it larger. I mean, either way.